Hey teacher gang, and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you were tuned in. Before we start the video, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so that you get notified when I upload new videos. Today's video is actually going to be something that I looked up so much towards the end of my student teaching experience, videos for how to interview for a teaching position. So today we're going to talk about some of my favorite things that I've done, some really effective things that I've done to score a teaching position, because hey, that's why you're here. Fun fact, using these tips, I interviewed at a total of 6 schools between the end of my student teaching experience in December when I was trying to find a job mid-year and towards the end of this past school year, going into the school year of 2021 or 2020 to 2021. So anyway, interviewed at a total of 6 schools, and out of those 6 schools, I actually got offered the position at 5 out of 6 of those schools. One of the schools actually I didn't prepare for as well as I know that I normally do. So that was that. But anyway, so let's get started. My first tip, and it's probably the dud tip, is to dress professionally. Personally recommend wearing colors that are not too vibrant and not too distracting so that you're not drawing attention away from the things that you are saying to represent yourself. But of course, you want to represent yourself in a business professional way. So when I dress for interviews, I typically might wear a button-up and a blazer with slacks. That's just my go-to. But yes, number 1 tip, dress professionally, make sure that you're groomed well. And I think one of my things is if I had to choose, I'd rather smell amazing than look amazing. But of course, during your interview, you have the option to do both. So I say dress business professional. Blazers are a must, in my opinion. I think they really show that you are dressing just as professionally as possible and you're taking this opportunity seriously, and making sure that you are wearing some sort of fragrance that isn't too loud but that is pleasant to smell. Tip number 2 is be prepared with a website displaying your portfolio, a physical portfolio, and one of my silent killers, my folder. Okay. So I'm going to share with you the contents of this folder, but first I want you to check out this teacher portfolio that I made. I believe I used this from Pocketful of Primary. So I printed some pages out, and I'll actually link in the description box, the link to this exact printable portfolio. So it has informational documents such as your cover letter, resume, letters of recommendation, etc., etc. For Georgia, I have my GACE scores in here as well as my EdTPA forms. So I've got just kind of an overview of my resume, and this cover letter is actually old, so I'll show you my updated cover letter in this next in the folder that I'm going to tell you about. Okay, I also have sample lesson plans so that during interviews, if you're having them in person, of course, you can kind of use it as a reference, a little cheat sheet for you, to kind of reference some of your best lessons and lessons that you might be able to implement if you're maybe applying for the same grade. Something that I really found helpful to kind of just go through and even fill out was this classroom management section. So this has everything from classroom setup to classroom rules, procedures, positive behavior, morning routine, transitioning, and managing work. So I've got an image of this at the time was what I would have put in my classroom since I didn't have a classroom of my own, and a description of its use in my classroom. So I could actually update this with pictures from my own classroom. I'm not sure if that's necessary, just because I think they get the point that that's something that you're going to do. So again, each page just kind of has a picture and a brief description of how I plan on utilizing the strategy or system in my classroom. So for each page, I actually have them in sheet protectors. Again, this just kind of shows that you're taking this seriously and that these are actually reusable. So I've used this at all of my interviews. And finally, the final section are my favorite lessons. So this one is actually a 3rd grade standard on the mountain ranges and rivers in Georgia, or in the United States, excuse me. And this one was a 5th grade lesson on equality versus fairness with the Brown versus Board of Education. So I just got a couple pictures to help me remember if they ever ask me some effective lessons that I've taught. And these are just kind of the resources that go along with those lessons. I personally believe that what's in this folder is something that set me apart from all of the other people that applied to the positions that I applied to, other than my virtual interviews. But however, it was still very effective. So in my folder down here to my right, I think it's your left, I'm not sure, but I have my business card, and the business card actually has a QR code that is linked directly to my website. So my website has things like my teaching philosophy, some of my goals for my educational experience, and things that I hope to accomplish, like furthering my education with my master's degree, getting some endorsements, etc., etc. My current qualifications are all of that is on my homepage, so that whoever is looking at my website gets a sense of exactly who I am, what experience I have, what qualifications I have, my philosophy, and my goals. The other tabs on my website are for, ELA, math, science, social studies, technology use, and classroom management. So in each of those sections, I have a description of some of the strategies I may use and the philosophies that I use in my instruction, as well as an example lesson and resources on the bottom of the page. So they can scroll through the actual lesson itself and click on the resources that I actually have used. For my final tab with the technology, I believe I updated it. I definitely updated it so that it included digital learning resources that I've created and used for my students this past year. So something that's quick, easy, and I believe was something that set me apart. I don't think I've seen anyone create a business card with a QR code to their website. So just a quick overview. I have my cover letter here with my name at the top and elementary educator, contact information. At the very top, I have the principal's name, her title, and the name of the school, and then just cover letter things. And again, I showed you this in the last one. Hopefully it's far enough to where you really can't see the information. But yeah, I've got my resume here with my contact information, my professional profile, which is just like a brief description of myself and myself as it relates to education and as an educator, my education, and my professional experience. I also have my certifications and core competencies. So I actually got this template, not template because I created it myself, but the different sections to include, I got the idea from a Pinterest user. I can't remember her name, but I'll try to link her in the description box below. On the back of my cover letter and resume, I'm going to hold it way back here. I've got some contact information for some supervisors I've had, some bosses that I have that are relevant work experiences to teaching. So I've got, I did an intern as an intern care coordinator for an affordable housing complex. So I thought that was really relevant. That's something I used to gain experience in creating a summer program for kids. So that I also worked as an art instructor, for an after school program in my hometown in New York. I worked at a camp, and of course, student teaching at Kennesaw. I have that on here, as well as my my mentor teachers information, and then the principal that I just worked for, her information along with the assistant principal. So all of these are relevant work experiences that I thought were necessary, so I included those on the back, along with their emails and phone number. And finally, the last 2 pages are 2 letters of recommendations that I had from my mentor teacher and one of my site supervisors from the school in New York. Okay, tip number 3 is going through a mock interview in answering questions with a friend or family. This is actually something that I did before my very last interview that I got the position at. And it's something that definitely kind of let me get the jitters out and practice exactly how I wanted to answer some common questions that I found online. So I highly recommend working with a friend or family member, which actually is a little bit more nerve-wracking because they know you and you know they're going to critique you on exactly what you need to do. So if you get your jitters out with somebody like a friend or a family member, it could definitely help you when you're going into the interview to help you feel more comfortable answering those questions. So that's actually it for this video. I hope it was clear. If you have any questions, comment them down below and I'll try to answer them. All right, guys, bye.